Yeah, Coach. You started Kaminsky instead of Cam. What led to that? The change in the lineup, and what do you think of Kaminsky's play?
Well, I think that's going to be um, the way we're going to do this going forward because we're seeing all these teams who are big and they're playing big power forwards and points in the paint and production in the paint has been something that we've wanted to, nullify as it relates to playing against teams like that. And so I just felt like we needed more size. Also felt like I put Cam in a tough spot, playing against guys like Zion and, Paul Millsap and all these teams that go big. And so we were just trying to match size for size. It may be a deal where we change it up, for the rest of the season, depending on who we're playing against at that position, because that's the position that changes the most throughout the league. And so I thought Frank, he did a really good job of, there were a couple times where he got pushed under the basket on Blake, but, it could have been an offensive foul or he just didn't resist him enough. But I thought Frank did a really good job. I mean, obviously he was shot 5 for 7. He had 5 boards, 15 points. Like that's, and he didn't even find out about it until this morning, so for him to step into that role really helped us tonight.
Is this one of those that you would describe as grinding out because it was, you guys had a nice lead, but it just felt kind of.
I mean, Utah did the same thing the other day. Utah was up by 30, and Detroit cut it to 4, I think. I watched that game, and they don't quit, and they're a lot like us in that they have a mantra that they follow, and theirs is toughness. Ours is relentless. They just play until the last whistle, the last horn, and we knew they weren't going to give in. Our 22 turnovers didn't help the cause. I don't know how many charges we had tonight, but we got to take a look at the turnovers as we get ready for the next game. But I didn't think they were going to go away. Some teams, you get them down like that and they take the starters out, you can kind of break them. But I think the league is so balanced now with depth. It's just hard to do that in this economy.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, and then Christos Saltis.
Hey, Monty, it felt like there were certain points in the game where there could have been slippage, but your team did a really good job of not letting Detroit get too close to coming back. What were your thoughts on that balancing act throughout the game where Detroit, like you said, kept fighting?
Yeah, the last 2 minutes of the third were really poor. Turnovers to lack of execution. I thought Chris came back in at the beginning of the fourth, and then Devin came back. That kind of settled us down a little bit. We played in 0.5, and those guys got a few wide open threes off of the stops that we got that really helped us. And so the second unit at the end of the third, that segment was not good, but I was glad to see us bounce back and get the lead back up to a place where we didn't feel comfortable, but you felt better about the score.
Next is Christos Saltis from Greece, and then Gina Mizell.
Hello, Coach. Congratulations on the win.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to ask you how important for your team was to bounce back after the loss in New Orleans, about the confidence and your mentality, and also how you worried about the 22 turnovers.
Yeah, Christos. Obviously, when you lose a game like that, it's hard. It's easy to just focus on the negative, but the reality is we had won 3 in a row. We lost a tough one on the road, but we got 2 games on the road, which is huge. So you turn the page and you learn from it, and then you get ready for the next game. And I thought our guys did a really good job of, getting their minds right to play against a team that, quite frankly, we haven't beaten in a few years, if I'm not wrong on that. So it was a huge night for us. And then, the 22 turnovers, like I said, we have to take a look at that. I think we had a number of charges tonight, but I think guys were trying to do the right thing. The ones I'm a bit concerned about is the passes in the paint. That's been something that has plagued us this year. We're trying to make interior passes, and most really good defenses are clogging the paint. So I think the pass may be outside of the paint. I think we got to do a better job of finding guys on the outside for threes, and then it'll open up the paint a bit more.
Next is Gina Mizell with Suns.com, and then Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty, I know this is your job, is to find the right combinations, even with injuries and protocols and everything that, has hit you guys this season. But just, can you take us inside your head a little bit as far as when you are just trying to find those combinations that work? Because I think there was at least one lineup out there that we haven't seen in a game this year. And so just what are you trying to do in the heat of the moment to make sure you've got a good complementary pieces out there?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Gina, it's just where we are. With COVID, with injuries, I'm watching guys' minutes. We got a ton of games in a certain amount of days, but you're just looking for, a group that can be productive. And you're also looking at the matchups with the other team. And so there may be some lineups out there on the floor that may not look like something we've done before, but the idea is to, try to match up well against a group that, could beat you if you don't make the right decision. And I'm not saying I did make the right decision, but that's at least how we're thinking on the sidelines. And then, COVID has put us all in a weird spot, So with that and injuries, you're just trying to do the best you can to give your team a chance to win.
Final two questions will be Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic and Cody Cunningham.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned economy and things of that nature. Looking at Cam, I don't know if it looked like he had like a wrap on his leg underneath the sleeve. I mean, is he good? Because, the injuries, and I've seen so many with you guys here lately. I'm just trying to see if Cam is, was he playing through something tonight or was he good?
No, he was fine. We wouldn't put him on the floor if we felt like he couldn't be productive, When you're in this league, you're going to play through stuff. I mean, all guys are sore, but we don't play guys when they're injured. And so if, he has a lot of guys have wraps all over the place, man. It's like just the way it is, man. Guys have, sleeves on all over the place. So he's fine. He has played through soreness before, but the minute total where he is where I'd like to keep him.
Okay.
20 to 24. So I think if we can keep him there, it really helps him be more productive.
And just to follow up with Devin and Chris, they got their three ball going. Did you like the looks that they got, or in terms of the ball movement, or not?
Yeah, I mean, Chris had a few wide. I wish Chris would take more of those shots. He's trying to make plays for other guys, but he's such a good shooter. I wish he would take more of those. And Devin, he's a gifted shooter. I want those guys to take those looks. The numbers, those guys in mid-range and threes will take those every night.
Final question goes to Cody Cunningham with Suns.com.
Hey, Coach. Going back to Cam Johnson, you mentioned before the game that, when the three ball isn't falling, there's still other ways to impact the game. And it seemed like Cam was driving more and putting the ball on the ground and fighting for boards, passing. Just what did you like from the way he responded tonight?
Yeah, just as I said before, like there's different ways to affect the game. I thought his rebounding at the end of the first and second quarter was huge for us. He stuck his nose in there, got his hand on the ball, or he got the ball. And then he had, 3 assists. He's attacking the paint because people are running him off the line. It's rare for him to get as many open looks as he's gotten this year. But for the most part, defenses run him off the line. He's a guy that tries to make the right plays. And that's why we feel like he's going to be a really good player as he continues to progress.
Yeah, Frank, Coach said you didn't know you was going to start until this morning. Obviously, you started last year a few games for the Suns. Just your thoughts on getting the start and how do you feel like you mesh with the guys tonight?
For me personally, it's just keeping the same mindset I've had the last couple of week or so. Just go out there and be aggressive. I know I can play, different positions on offense and on defense. So, it's nice to be able to play alongside Deandre. He makes life a little bit easier on the defensive end, but it just felt good to be out there. It felt good to play. No, I don't know what else to say besides that.
Well, I was just going to just follow up. Coach was saying you guys might go big more often to match up with who you guys are playing. How do you like that look of whether it's you or DeAndre, or maybe you or Dario or DeAndre? How do you like that look?
I like it. I mean, it's no secret that we really struggled to keep New Orleans out of the paint. We've had some games this year where we've struggled with either offensive rebound and keeping people out of the paint. So I think we did a lot better job with it tonight. Obviously, we still got a ways to go in that department. But obviously, when you go big like that, it kind of dissuades people. They start taking more outside shots. Obviously, we did that tonight, but then we got to clean up the offensive or the defensive glass. So I like it personally. Personally, I like it a lot.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, and then Chris Henderson.
Hey, Frank, as far as you and DeAndre playing together, I was surprised to look back and see you guys only played 11 minutes together last year, but of course the injuries and the suspension didn't help with that. So now that that's like the longest you guys have played together on the floor, you mentioned the defensive aspects, you liking it. What are your just overall thoughts on it as a whole, playing with him?
You know, he's such a versatile option on the defensive end. He can do so many things. He can cover up so many mistakes. You know, whether it's his mistakes, he can make it up for, or other people's mistakes. And when you see DeAndre down there in the paint, it kind of dissuades people. And then when you see him out on the perimeter, switching ball screens, getting up into people, changing shots, just doing different stuff, it just makes life a lot easier for everyone else. And then, you know, offensively, he commands so much presence when he's down in the paint that just opens up the floor. You know, you saw there in the third quarter, we just tried to move him, keep him in action, spread the floor a little bit, kind of use DeAndre setting screens and rolling. And that got me open a couple times, got Book open a couple times, and that just kind of opened it up a little bit for us.
Next up is Chris Henderson with chendo.com, and then Christos Saltis.
Good evening, Frank, and congrats on the start and the win.
Thank you.
You know, playing with Chris Paul, can you talk about how important it is to have a veteran point guard of that nature coming? Because you play with some great point guards, but, you know, playing with Chris, can you talk about how important that is for this young team and, you know, obviously willing you guys out to having a bad game, but coming back and winning tonight?
Yeah, you know, he just sees so many things out there on the floor. You know, in timeouts, he's very vocal on the floor. Even he's very vocal about what we should be doing. You know, he has a lot of communications with the coaching staff, and we know that. You know, he's very vocal in pretty much every setting we have. So he has so much experience. He's been such a good player for such a long time. You know that when he talks about something and what he's saying is probably right. So I just try to do everything I can to listen. And, you know, he's definitely put me in a lot of good spots here recently. He's been talking to me more and more. I've been trying to figure out how to play with him a little bit. And it's been getting better and better. And you see him too. I mean, he's been an all-star for, I don't know, most of my life. So, you know, it's fun. And I'm truly lucky that I get to play with someone like him.
Next up is Christos Saltis from Greece, and then Gina Mizell.
Hello, Frank. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you, Coach Williams trusts you, your teammates trust you on the court. How important for you is your mentality, that trust, and how big boost you get from that?
My mentality is just to go out and be aggressive. You know, if I'm going to make mistakes out there on the floor, I want to make mistakes, you know, playing hard, being aggressive, trying to make something happen. You know, obviously last year getting hurt and everything, that was kind of unfortunate. And then it took a while to come back from it. You know, it was the first real big injury I've had in my career. You know, now I'm comfortable, I'm healthy. And I'm just going out there and just trying to play as well as I can. Obviously not trying to do too much, not trying to be overly aggressive, but, you know, especially when I'm in there with the second unit, like I have been the last couple of weeks, just trying to move the ball, be a connector, make sure our offense is flowing, and take my chances when they come.
Next, we have Gina Mizell with Suns.com, and then Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Frank, you kind of just mentioned what I was going to ask you about, but I remember when you first came back in December, you obviously said, hey, I don't feel like I got to show everything that I can do last year with the injury and everything. So now that you've kind of gotten this stretch of consistent playing time, just what do you feel like you have been able to kind of showcase overall in your game that maybe you didn't get to last year?
A big part of my game, even you go back to college, I've always kind of been a pass first player. I don't take a ton of shots. On the offensive end, I like to keep the ball flowing, keep the ball moving, and run the offense. And before the Golden State game, when Coach told all of us we just needed to be better in that aspect, I kind of took that personally because that's something I know I can do. Something I've always been proud of is my ability to move the ball, find the right play, get people open. I just like it when everyone around me plays better. That's a very gratifying feeling for myself. So when I go out there, that's one of my main focuses, like my main focal points, and just try to go out there and do that every single night. Because if everyone around you is playing that much better and you're having a hand in it, it just makes your job that much easier.
All right, Frank, final two questions would be Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic and then Dave King.
Yeah, Frank, last year after you hit a three, you used to do the fan. Now you're just going with the symbol. What made you change that up?
I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll pull that one out again. But the story behind that's not a Phoenix story. That was something a little bit from the past. So just trying to change it up until something else comes to me. I'm sure there'll be something else along the way.
Okay, I was just checking. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
All right, last question will be Dave King with Bright Side of the Sun.
Hey, Frank, the first few weeks of the season, you and Etwan and mostly Langston and Abdel Nader were all sitting, mostly watching from the bench. And now in the last couple of weeks, you guys are getting big time minutes out there. How, tell me about how that transpired and how you guys stayed focused.
Obviously coming in, I knew what the situation would be. I got waived by the Kings. I got claimed by the Suns the day, 2 days before the season started. So obviously I had been familiar with everything, but I wasn't here. I didn't go through the preseason, didn't do all that stuff. So I knew coming in, I probably wouldn't play much in the beginning. But you know how an NBA season goes. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be, especially in a season like this, there's going to be injuries. There's going to be different stuff. We got a lot of games in a short amount of time. So everyone from 1 to 15 is going to have to step up at some point. Obviously we've had some unfortunate stretches of injuries and COVID and, playing against Washington and that whole deal. So, it's just about staying ready. We got a lot of hard workers on this team. You see it in every practice, every shoot around. Everyone's locked in on the bench every single game. We just have a good culture, and everyone knows that when it's their time to go out and play, they gotta perform and play well, and everyone's done that so far.
No, you guys, just how you guys bounced back from the loss Wednesday. How'd you feel about the way you guys responded tonight?
It was a good effort, on both ends. I'd say, from beginning to end, we had around 10 to 15 most of the game, but, we knew, they weren't going to give in and that they're going to fight the whole game, especially after what happened when we were in Detroit. So, we felt like we owed them this one. I'm glad we played all the way through and got the win.
Just to follow up, change up the lineup. Kaminsky got to start the matchup size-wise with Detroit. How did you like that look? Because obviously Kaminsky's a guy that can pass it, and obviously can shoot it as well.
Yeah, Frank played well in his time. Like I said about their team, you know what they're going to bring, having Plumlee and Blake out there in the front court. And I feel like we struggled a bit with that down the stretch late in Detroit. So we just wanted to nip it in the bud and get ahead of the storm and start Frank in. He played well in his time.
Last two questions would be Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports and Dave King.
Hey, Book, what changes for you the most when you guys go with two bigs as opposed to like a wing being out there like Jay or Cam?
Typically you'd say spacing, but, Frank, I think Frank has the ability, to knock down those shots, and he did tonight. I'd say just pace. I'd say Cam's a little bit quicker than Frank. I think Frank would agree also, but I'd have to be in the lineup a little bit more to tell. But it worked well for us tonight.
Last question goes to Dave King with Bright Side of the Sun.
Hey, Book, next to Chris Paul this year, it looks like you're playing more of a traditional two-guard role with looking for your shot and taking a lot more catch and shoot. threes and getting into your spots immediately once you catch the ball. Is that a main focus, or is there something else that's getting you where your assists are down this year?
Still just trying to find the balance. You know, Chris has the ball most of the time, and you know, a lot of the actions that we run, you know, I feel are for me to be aggressive and make a play for people. I mean, obviously, I'm still looking to make the correct play, you know, every time down court. So when you have somebody that's top 2 in the NBA in assists, you know, it's kind of hard to have 2 of those in the top 5. But you know, I think the assists will be there. Still looking for people, still, you know, causing gravity. And even if it's not the assist pass, if it's the one before that, I'm fine with the 2, the hockey assist. So, you know, just trying to make the right play.
Yeah, Chris, you guys obviously got the bounce back win. Just your assessment of it overall. Got a little sloppy with the turnovers, but led pretty much double figures, I would say, the whole second half. So just your thoughts on the game.
We knew this was a long homestand we was coming to. You know, we knew coming back off a road trip like that, we needed to take care of business. We had got up on this team last time we played against them, and they came back and beat us. So it was nice to get a win.
And just to follow up, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there's a mural that's up. A story, Gina did the story of you and Monty and Javon and, you know, celebrating Black History Month. I don't know if you've seen it yet as far as a picture of it, but just your thoughts on being on a mural representing obviously the call for social justice and things of that nature.
Man, I saw a picture of it, and it was pretty powerful. I'd love to go by and see it one day since we're back in town. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege. You know, it says can't give up now. And it's pretty special and powerful to see that taking place.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, and then Royce Young.
Hey, Chris, Monty went with Frank in the starting lineup tonight. What changes the most for you as a point guard when you've got 2 bigs as opposed to wings and a little bit more, Book was saying, pace with a guy like Cam or Jay?
Yeah. Pace a little different. I don't know. Frank is a stretch big also who can really shoot the ball and shot the ball well tonight, which is huge for us. We've had a number of different lineups this year. With this season, all the games going on, you sort of expect that there's going to be different guys in and out the lineup, night in and night out. But you figure it out. And I think we did a really good job tonight of figuring it out.
Next is Royce Young with ESPN, and then David Brandt.
Hey, Chris, you know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of players, LeBron, James Harden, Giannis, have kind of voiced their opinions about All-Star Weekend and how they feel the league is handling that right now. And I was just curious about your reaction to maybe what some of your peers have said, and then also just your opinion on the All-Star game and what the league is doing.
Yeah, I mean, guys are entitled to their, you know, feelings, decisions, everything. You know, I think the job, you know, for the union has been to try to make sure our players are healthy and safe. You know, this is something that was a decision by the league, you know, and we are definitely, you know, day in and day out trying to figure it out. But, you know, we got 450 players, you know, that we always trying to get insight from. And, you know, it's tough. So we are trying to figure it out right now.
Gotcha. Thanks, Chris.
Next is David Brandt with the Associated Press, and then Gina Mizell.
Hey, Chris, I know you weren't particularly worried about it or anything, but your production has really taken off the last 6 or 7 games. I think you're averaging like 22 points and just look, you know, comfortable in the offense. What do you think has changed, if anything? Do you think just playing with Devin, playing without him has, you know, just helped get you going a little bit?
Just sort of figuring it out. There was no training camp. I missed all the preseason, pretty much the preseason games and practices. So just figuring out the pace and, you know, how to play with DA and just finding a rhythm too. But I think at the end of the day, the thing I'm most focused on is winning games. You know, as long as we win games, I'm cool. But I also need to play well to help that.
Next is Gina Mizell with Suns.com.
Hey, Chris, so you mentioned that you obviously just have to figure it out with all the different lineups that have been on the floor this season, but that still seems maybe easier said than done. So as the point guard, just how do you go about doing that when it's like, okay, Frank's in the starting lineup now, or this is the group I'm playing with, just on the fly, especially with, like you said, no training camp, lack of practice time, just what is the key to kind of making that all work on the fly?
Yeah, I mean, when you didn't play for a while, you feel like everything should just come easy. You know, oh, no to be there, set the screen this way. If you see me, both all us during the game, we always talking, because sometimes during the game is one of the first times one of these lineups have ever been. So you really are just trying to figure it out. You know, you assume that a guy knows, you know, set it this way. Oh, you want the ball right there. You know, so we're really just trying to figure it out as we go.
Final two questions would be Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic and Chris Henderson.
Yeah, because just to follow up on the All-Star game, when you're having conversations with guys, how are you trying to explain, okay, look, this is why this is happening. I understand you got an issue, but this is why this is happening. You've gone through so many conversations like this before, but how do you go about doing that when there's something that it seems to divide it with guys, whether to play or not play in the game?
Yeah, it's tough. You try to over communicate as much as possible. I mean, I talked to Braun maybe a week or two ago, talked to Steph, you know, a few guys, and, you know, our executive committee, we get on calls and, you know, we try to figure it out. You know, there's different situations, you know, guys who've been playing a lot of games, who haven't really had much of breaks. I'm sure I'm not the only guy in the league that lives without their family, you know, and so, you know, guys look at that break as an opportunity to see their families. It's a lot of different things going on right now, but you know, you just hope that you know, guys understand that, you know, decisions that are being made, you know, especially as far as the union is always got, you know, the full body of players in mind, you know, but I mean, emotions happen, guys have feelings, and you got to be able to express them, and I respect that.
Final question goes to Chris Henderson with chendo.com.
All right, CP, congrats on the win tonight. You know, everywhere you have been as a player, you have been a leader and you have been vocal to. You talked about communication just now, and obviously this team is super talented with, you know, Devin and, you know, DeAndre. But for you, and what was the first thing when you got to those guys and talked to them? You know, obviously to instill that winning process, because I can see the difference, and I know a lot of people across the league see that too. And then my second follow-up question will be about your CP3 12 that you had on tonight. It had a special message on there. Can you talk about your PE that you had on tonight?
Yeah, I think when I go to these different teams, one thing that I always stress is, Doc used to say it all the time when I played for him. Monty said it too, is that it's hard to win in this league, right? It's hard to win one game. So, you know, the thing that separates the really good teams from the not so good teams is execution and, you know, staying the course, like the last 4 minutes, last 5 minutes of the game. And that's important. That's important. You can be as talented as you want. You done seen guys sometimes in this league who can go out and get 25, 30 in their sleep, but then it's the last 5 minutes of the game where teams win or to lose it. So we've been really just trying to focus on that, the little things. You know, the little things a lot of times don't show its face until late in the game. Then as far as my shoes, I always write "Can't Give Up Now" on them, but I also wrote "Why Not Us" on it. And it's the documentary that we're doing with ESPN Plus and The Undefeated, where we followed North Carolina Central University and the coach Lavelle Moten. You know, all about HBCU. Starts on February 12th. Make sure you check it out.